Check, check, check.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Phil Dixon, Chairman of the Board of Architecture Review. And we welcome you to our board meeting. It's now 6 o'clock. It's September 3rd, 2024. The time scheduled for our meeting to begin. Depending on the size or complexity of a project, each applicant has the opportunity to present a conceptual or master plan for our review prior to committing funds for a full set of design plans and the specifications. Approval of a concept means that we might agree with the concept while disagreeing with some of the details. It also means that each phase of the project must be submitted at a later date once plans are more fully developed to obtain the board's final approval for that individual portion of the project. Hopefully, any disagreements will have been worked out before the applicant comes back before the board. One project being reviewed this evening has been submitted before, and this project is now ready to be considered for further approval. For each of you who may be new to our meeting, our charge is to look at each project purely on aesthetics, design, architecture, height, mass, and scale, and in harmony with the historic district in the town of Somerville. We look at the overall street scene. Although we are not required to solicit comments from anyone other than the applicant and board members, except for demolition requests, we usually choose to begin our project review with public hearing, to allow others to express comments that might help influence our decision-making before the applicant has presented the project and the board members have resolved any questions they might have. You were asked to sign up when you first arrived and indicate which project you wish to comment. When called on, please try to limit your comments, but I'm told that there are none, so we'll move on. As always, we will review each submittal in the order that it was submitted. However, as a first order of business, we must approve the minutes of our last meeting, which were sent to board members for review prior to the meeting. Are there any changes that are needed to be made, or do I have a motion to be accepted in a second?
I saw no changes that needed to be made.
Same, I'll second.
Okay, please.
I'll make a
Respond.
motion to accept them then.
Hmm?
I'll make a motion to accept them.
Please respond with a yes or no when I call your name. David,
I was not present.
Beth,
I wasn't present at the meeting either.
Tim,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes,
and mine is yes. The first project on our list tonight is 309 West Richardson Avenue, a request for front door replacement.
Good evening. I went to
Oh.
Home Depot and got I looked at the fur door and I see what y'all were talking about. It does look better. And Jason Peterson from Taylor Coastal Construction came out and measured and said, we can do this. So I think the door is in the package.
It looks great.
looks good.
All right, thank y'all.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve as submitted.
Second,
David.
all right, please answer. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes,
and mine is yes. So You're good to go. The next project that we have is 106 Pine Grove Avenue.
Applicant is requesting approval for a re-roof after the fact. The roof was previously shingle. It was replaced with 5V metal roofing. Typical in the historic district is standing seam. Yep.
I wanted to listen to you,
Do
Tim.
we have anybody representing? Come on up and tell us about it.
Good afternoon. I'm Johnny Beeler. I'm the contractor. For one, like I said, some of these mistakes were mine because I didn't know that house was in the historic district, being on that side street. Even talking to Judge Chalice, he was telling me the house had no historical value. So I had the contract and we went to start the roof. A month earlier, we did a big one on Simmons. The house was 100-something years old. So I went to pull the permit. I came to the historic district and they said, no, that house is not in the historic district. And so I said, okay. So I went to got the regular permit. So I just got turned around on my own assumptions. And so anyway, we started work on the home and I came down to pull the permit for that, submitted everything. And they said that the house was in the historic district. And I went, that house, it didn't look that old and on that side street. And they said, yeah. So I put my extra permit in to planning for the permit. All right. And so we were already working on it. I'd already done over the past several years, 6 or 7 5B homes in the historic district and on the same roof. And so I said, well, you know, it'll be okay because I'm going to metal. I'm not going from metal to shingles. So I submitted the paperwork and then Becca called me and told me, said, Johnny, she goes, this will be just a staff level approval. So I said, okay. So I was waiting. Then she called me back and says, you need another permit. I said, why do I need another permit? She goes, because the rules were changed now. They said most of the roofs now going back to are standing seam. And I went, oh no. And she goes, so that's going to be a board hearing. And so I said, okay. I mean, I'm stuck. I just assume it wasn't started. And the other one I thought wasn't. And I put all the paperwork in. I'd done 6 before like that. So I didn't think it was going to be an issue. I've never had to come from in front of the board for one of those, even when I submitted. So again, it's my fault for not getting the update and really finding out exactly what was what prior to. I just went from my past experience. And so that's where we are right now. So I did the roofs I've always done in that area. And they said, yeah, that little kick out is in the historic district.
So I guess I have a question for the town. So it seems like when he applied for the permit, he should have been told then he had to come. So he should have gotten a permit before he did the work. So that means, did the town properly tell him not to do the work or give him a permit without sending him to the VAR?
So there's a disclaimer on the building permit applications in the historic district. I'm not sure what happened with this one, but the building department did issue the permit for the roof without notifying planning that it was in the historic district. So it was a lapse in the town's performance and not Mr. Beeler's fault necessarily. That would be the fault of interdepartmental communication on our part.
And so when they called me back to get a planning permit, I came back and got it to submit and they said it'd be a staff level. Then when they found out it was still the wrong roof on the new approval, I had to get a second permit and come here.
It sounds like it's not his fault. To me, he shouldn't have to redo that whole thing at that expense when there was a quirk in the connection between the town. I'd vote to approve it.
Yeah, I would have to agree with, since it was the town's fault.
I do question whether you put 5V crimp 10 on 6 other houses in the historic district with approval of the BAR though.
Yes, sir. Well, I did them all with permits. Now the BAR, I don't know, but I pulled permits for them. One of them was a big silver one beside the tracks, between Central and Main Street. We did that several years ago. My last one that I got approval for was on Fifth Street, the church back here. They had, asbestos shingles on it. And the other people were going to put a roof over those shingles, those asbestos shingles. And I came to the board hearing and to let y'all know that they can't do that, you know. And so they in turn let them go and wanted me to do it. And I got approval to take those off and go back with a 5E roof. And that was what I did. That's my last one in the historic district.
Okay, well, one thing that maybe you're not real clear about
All right.
is that not all the houses that are in the historic district are old. And so just looking at a house and determining how old it is and whether it's worthy of being in the district is not the issue. The issue is maintaining the integrity of the district and having materials used that are consistent with the other materials in the district.
Yes, sir.
Now, that being said, I support the decision to allow this to go because it was a town issue, but lots of people do not understand the historic district and what properties are within the historic district. It's not like you can go down one street and turn right and go down another one for a mile, turn right again and do a square, and everything in that is in the historic district. The historic district is very convoluted and on the map. And
I saw that.
yeah, and so, you know, even places where on one side of the street, they're in the historic district and on the other side, they are not.
Yes, sir.
And so this is a learning process.
Oh, it is for
for
me.
people who-
I won't do anything until I have the stamp in my hand.
And the town needs to understand what they're approving too.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
this isn't the first time that we've come in here and had to deal with something that had apparently been approved by the town and slipped past. Should go through a process to get to whether it needs to go before the BAR. And this is not the first time it's happened. And hopefully we can get to the point where it would be the last.
But like you said, sir, I don't know these. That's why when I show up to pull the permit, I do what I'm supposed to do technically. And then if I'm referred to later, then I go further.
Let's move along. I'd like to make a motion that we approve it as installed.
I'll say, good.
Please answer yes or no. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nancy Jean.
Yes,
Jane,
Yes.
and mine is yes. So please go ahead.
Thank you
I-
very
Thank you
much.
for
Thank-
coming in and your
thanks.
honesty.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a blessed day.
And maybe after the meeting, we can talk about the connection between the two departments and how to work that out better.
Our next project is 135 West Richardson.
The applicant is requesting approval for the installation of a mural. Mural will be on the loading dock on the South Cedar side of the building. It abides by our zoning regulations as far as murals go, so it just requires BAR approval.
Hello, members of BAR. My name is Jana Riley. I'm the Executive Director over at Public Works Art Center, and I'm here with some members of the board as well as two of our biggest supporters here in the front row. I wanted to thank you first for volunteering your time to protect the aesthetics of our sweet town. I was raised here. I know how important this town is and how we have something truly special here in downtown Somerville. I'm hoping this isn't the first time you see us here to talk about public art, but it's very important to us that we start off on the right foot and show that we share in the same values as the BAR of kind of amplifying what we have here and not changing Somerville to be anything that it's not. Public Works is a historic building. As he mentioned, we have talked to SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Office, and in your packet, you should have an email from Brad Sauls, actually Christopher Tenney up there, who has not only said that they approve the usage of the loading dock for a mural, but they support the community in using the space for public art. So we've worked with a regional artist to develop something that reflects what we believe the BAR wants in downtown Somerville. This mural includes all things Somerville. We've got Carolina honeysuckle, the Eastern tiger swallowtail butterfly, the Carolina jasmine blossom, and the Carolina wren. It's somewhat of a seek and find. It looks very vibrant, but there are some other renderings below this one in the packet that show kind of what it looks like as a digital rendering and what it looks like applied to a building. I think the second one, if you scroll down just one more, shows that really clearly how that first one, it looks kind of very bright, but then once it settles into the building, it looks a little better. I can answer any questions if you have them.
Jana, is this actually hand painted onto the metal part of the building?
Yes, ma'am. So we have Osiris Rain. He's an artist from Charlotte. We have a block party. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year happening on Saturday. If this is approved, he will be out there beginning on Friday, priming the walls, and then on Saturday, starting to hand paint this onto the mural. And then he'll put an anti-graffiti protection on top of it to make sure that it is protected. It should last up to about 10 years if protected right. And it's luckily kind of out of the sun under an awning. So.
I believe this is only the metal portion, right? No
That's
brick
correct.
or anything.
No brick. And that's what at SHPO, they talked about making sure that the brick and the concrete was protected. And so we'll make sure to have that protected during the painting of the mural.
Way back when, the last project that the town did to try to get community input about what the town should be, they wanted more public art. And that public input is what ended up starting the sculpture program. What y'all have done as far as incorporating really good Somerville figures and ideas, it looks great. And I love the one at the Chamber of Commerce. I think it looks great. And I think this is another wonderful addition. It's a surprise to me, but I'm happy that they're doing it.
And I didn't mention, thank you for your comment. I didn't mention the postage stamp, which is my favorite thing about this piece. Again, it's a little bit of a seek and find. So if you look closely, you'll be able to see it, but that does pay homage to the building's original use as the town post office.
I love it. Do you have a rendition of where it will go?
Yes, do you mind scrolling down just a little bit? I believe in the packet, there's an image of, there it is. So it's on this space, not on the brick, only on the white part and the loading dock door. So it's quite a challenge for the artist. And so it was really important that we pick somebody who has painted dozens and dozens of murals, because you see there's corrugated metal and there's this rolling door. So it's going to be a fun job.
Yeah, not a flat surface.
Not at all.
Obviously, there have been a lot of hours designing this,
Mhm.
and I think that having kind of hidden elements within the art is really creative. I love it.
Thank you.
It will definitely improve the look of the doors.
I would make a motion that we approve it. It's presented.
I'll second.
Please answer for me. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
and mine is yes. So
Thank you all.
We
for
wish you
listening.
well.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Next project is 800 South Main. Request for installation of light fixtures.
This project is a combination of two applications. So Mr. Taylor here is applying regarding the lighting on the building. And then the signage contractor is applying for an exception for the 50% width of the facade requirement to allow the sign to be wider. So there would need to be a vote for the lighting and a vote for the width of the signage.
Good afternoon. Name's Mike. I'm with Taylor Coastal Construction. Hello. Yeah, we got a complicated project here with 3 lights. They're gonna match the exact ones that we put on the front of the building. The dome is 14 inches and it stands 11 inches off the wall. The light is black. The inside of the light is painted white, and they're to light up the sign that they're applying for at the top of the parapet wall. So
Mike, do the lights come on at a certain time, or does the owner of the
Yes.
building turn the lights on, or how does that work?
no, there's currently a photo cell that controls the 2 lights on the porch. So we're gonna tie these lights into that same photo cell, so they'll go on and off.
I think the lights are an improvement and it making the sign a little bit lower and smaller makes it look even better.
It definitely needs something up there. It's just this blank
Mhm.
canvas.
Mhm.
Every time I drive by, I'm like, put something up there. So,
Great improvement on what the building was.
yes, yeah. And by the way, the input with the base of the columns, they look good.
They do look good.
Yes.
You did a great job.
So, yeah,
Mhm.
good suggestion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the lighting because we have to have 2 separate votes here.
Okay.
So the lighting as submitted by Mike.
I'll second the motion for the lighting.
Okay. Oh, answer for me for that. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes?
Tim,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
and mine is yes.
Awesome.
Okay, no.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the signage then.
Well, let's talk about that one.
Okay.
Because they're asking for the left-hand image, the really large. And I'm opposed to that. So I'm opposed to giving them the exception.
To
I think-
clarify, the left image is what it would be like if they met the current requirement, which would be not allowing them to exceed 50% of the width of the facade. So they would have to stack the words on top like that to make it fit.
Right.
Whereas the right image would be granting the exception, allowing them to exceed that width requirement.
What is the exception? What was the one that that we approved the lights under? That's the image I like.
That's with the exception. Should
So-
you choose to grant the
So
exception.
no. Go back to the previous image we were just looking at. That's the one I like. See this Smith, everything's contained underneath the lights.
Hmm.
The other one extends
Hmm.
significantly past the lights and to me is way too much for that facade in that building. Yeah, it's all signage. That one looks good to me.
That looks better.
So my motion would be that we accept this light sign package with this lighting package.
Do I have to withdraw my motion to make his legal?
Hmm?
Do I have to withdraw my motion to make his legal? Because I agree with him.
Yes, you would need to withdraw.
I will withdraw my motion.
All right. Well, I'd make a motion that we would accept this sign package and lighting package as submitted with the staying within the 14-foot.
I need to ask one question before we get a second. On the actual windows, can you go to the next? Do they have the S and the A on them? Like this, the one on the right?
I believe from talking with the signage contractor, no matter what is approved, they're still aiming to do the window decals. So those are also up for discussion in this instance. It is a part of the signage package for the building.
Yeah. I'm opposed to the window decals personally, 100%. Yeah. If they want that kind of signage, they shouldn't be in the historic district. They should be located somewhere else. So mine is no approval on the window. That's my motion, is approval of the smaller signage and no window decals.
How about the small window decals that are on the below the S?
Yeah. I can't see it well enough to,
On what it says.
I don't either.
Is there any type of hanging, when a law firm has their
Shingle.
Shingle.
hanging shingle outside or anything?
Unfortunately, I don't I don't have
He's,
anything.
yeah, he's not the sign guy.
Okay.
They didn't apply for any sort of shingle sign. It's strictly the wall signage that they've applied for.
I think that's what, yeah.
They would have to have some kind of signage in the window, because if you're walking, you wouldn't see the signage above it. Wouldn't it be okay to have the small decals in the window?
Sure.
I think
Yeah,
that's fairly.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it's a good point, Nancy Jean.
I think there might be a better way to approach it than the blue and the white.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's probably what we're so objectionable to.
It's very
Yeah.
distracting.
Yeah. But some kind of shingle or something not on the windows to me would be much better. I understand the need for a sign, but I just think
Mhm.
there are better options than these window
Yeah.
decals.
I don't like the blue and white either. It's
So-
glaring.
I would I think-
Of the windows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I'm of the opinion, let's look at the top signage and let them come back with alternatives on the windows. Mike's not the sign guy, so he doesn't care about this, so.
I'm having fun. And I think maybe on the original building, I'm trying to recollect, but what if there was, on that beam that goes across the front, if there was a little sign that hung?
That's what
Mhm.
she's talking
Potentially,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
I just think somebody needs to be more creative than big window stickers. Given the location of the building.
your motion. I'll second it.
Okay. All right, so the motion, to clarify the motion, it would be, maybe can you go back to the right image so that I get, so it would be approving this particular image. It's where the lettering stays underneath the light fixtures. And we approve the lettering and the lights that's approved here, but no window signage at this time. They need to come back with alternative solutions to that.
That work all right?
Thank you, Babs. It's just-
Who seconded?
David did.
Okay.
Dave seconded it. All right. Please answer for me. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Nancy Jean,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
and mine is yes. So that covers both of them. I said that covers both of them.
Yeah.
With that motion. Okay.
And just as a point of clarification, as we were kind of chatting here, it looks like in this picture that maybe that window signage is already existing at the bottom in small letters.
There is some window signage, but that big blue
Yes.
SA signage, that would not,
And-
that is not existing.
And we're not asking that be revisited. If it's there and existing, we're okay with that. It's the big blue
Mm.
essay that we're opposed to.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Our next project is 305 Beaufort Street.
Applicant is requesting approval for work done after the fact, porch and railing renovations completed prior to BAR review. This property is located right at the very edge of the BAR Historic District boundary. The building itself is not rated, although the renovation is not typical of a porch in the Historic District.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is Rochelle Schofield. So we had no idea that we had to go through all these things. So when we got the house, the porch, you couldn't even step on it. It was rotted out. So we did that first, just so we could step into the home. And then we did the horizontal railing because we just figured it kind of went with the what's it called? The other boards on the house.
The siding, wood siding.
So that's why we did that, but we honestly, like I said, we did not know, Remy knows, like, in his office all the time, like, are we doing it right? Because we obviously did it wrong the first time and we felt really bad. So I have no problem, whatever changes need to be made. I totally am up for anything. I'm not trying to say this was the right thing or whatever. So, whatever you guys think, we will do.
Picture of what it was before the renovations.
My druthers would be if you went back to what it looked like before, you've done a nice job with the column size selection opposed to what was there before. And, you know, if you could use the rail cap that's already there and put some, those are just simple pickets in there, and put those in. And one thing that might add a little pizzazz to it, that's not necessary, but would be to put a little piece of trim around the top of the column and a little bit of base on the column. That would make that go from a $10 house to a $100 house
Okay.
in terms of curb appeal.
Okay. So just like the original, like more like the spindle.
Vertical.
Yep. Yeah. Up and down.
So basically vertical pickets instead of horizontal pickets.
Yeah.
So kind of like the original vertical pickets. And then David is suggesting, which I completely agree with him, is on the columns, the sizes look good. You know, your rail cap you can leave. So it's really just taking off 1, 2, 3, 4 boards and then putting vertical pickets in instead. And then on the columns, put a base, put about a 6-inch base around those columns. And then a little at the top, about a foot down, you put a little band around it. If you Google the images, there'll be hundreds of them, or just walk around, you'll see them. And it just really helps make it look sharp and will make it look 100% better.
And so when we do it vertical, does it have to be like the round or can it be?
Pickets, do they need to be
What's,
square?
what's there originally is
What
simple
was there?
square pickets.
Go back to the original rule. Yeah, they were simple square.
Oh.
So
But you, yeah, if you wanted to talk to us about dressing it up with turned pickets, you could. You're
yeah.
not, you're not stuck with square pickets, but that would be a very low cost option.
All right.
Does that make sense so far? Do you understand? So square pickets are what were there, so that's okay. You can put them back. But if you want to dress it up with a turned round picket, I think we would all be okay with that as well. So either would be a perfectly good option.
You will need to come back with the colors that you want to put on it.
Oh, okay. I think, did I
They
send
have,
the
she had a
colors?
sample.
But I wasn't sure if that was everything or the pickets would be, the vertical pickets would be different or.
The house actually is already repainted.
Huh?
So this is the accent color. And so that would be it would go onto the porch. So the trim color of the house would be on the porch.
This ancient marble?
Yes.
Okay. So what's the color of the house itself?
It's like 1 shade or 2 shades darker. Oh, it's right there.
Okay.
Yes, and so the ancient marble is already, it's hard to tell, but
Mhm.
it's up top. So it's a few shades.
What's the siding color?
It's like a sage.
Sage.
Mm.
So the siding sage and the trim is ancient marble.
Yes.
Got it.
yes.
Okay.
And they're like in the same hue, like
Right.
they're 2 away on the same color card.
Right.
Okay.
It's-
And just those pickets, there should be a bottom rail too. So if you kind of look at that existing picket detail, you can see how there was a bottom rail. You already have your top rail, so you just got to add a bottom rail. So just little details like that make a difference. The picket shouldn't come down and just sit on the ground. Does that make sense? All right, so you also, you don't have a fall hazard there because you're so low to the ground. So you don't have to make the picket super tight like current code requires. So you could actually keep the pickets wider. You actually don't have to have a railing for this house other than unless these guys,
Cause that's what I originally wanted, and then my husband was like, well, just let him do it like that, and I was like, but it will look better. You know, the other way, but I wasn't sure if it was like code.
there, yeah, you'd have to check the building officials because I don't know, I don't want to give you code advice, but there's a certain height that you don't have to have a rail. And
Did it.
right. It appears to me that this one meets that requirement, but you'd have to measure it and check with the code officials.
At a certain height, it's required for safety. So if somebody falls off, they don't get hurt. That's why they'd have to have the railing. But that's so low to the ground that maybe, check with the town, but maybe you wouldn't need it.
Sorry. So if my fellow board members, if she wants no rails and it's okay by the town, she meets the code requirement, are y'all okay with that option?
Coming downstairs, is that the only place you're talking
I
about?
think she's talking about these guys right here,
Oh.
because see, this height is, could be within that 18
Uh-huh.
inches that's required. I think it's over 18 inches, you have to have a rail.
And what about the stair
The
rails?
yeah,
Are
the
those,
stairs.
would
That's
they
up
be
to
required?
her. Yeah, it would, the same code
Yeah.
applies. So if you don't have to have a guardrail, you don't have to have step rails either.
But what about the design of the,
Oh, they
that-
should be
it
vertical.
should be vertical
Okay.
too, so.
They should be vertical too.
But you'll be glad that railing is there for old friends.
Yeah, yeah, and new kids.
Mhm.
We'll probably just stick to the vertical. Make it easy.
Okay.
You've got a good attitude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Truly.
And then, and the color is okay.
The two shades down. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so let's make a motion. Somebody else? Well, y'all
Go
want
ahead,
to-
do it.
Okay, all right. So we'll make a motion that we'll approve the alterations for the columns but the rails need to have vertical pickets to match the original rails and or be round spindles. And the columns will have a 6-inch base and a little trim piece at the top.
I'll second.
All right, thanks.
Please answer for me. David,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Nancy, Jean,
Yes.
Jane,
Yes.
and mine is yes. So,
And just one clarification that they brought up, actually, the handrails should match the porch rails.
Okay.
So where you're coming down the handrails, you need vertical pickets there as well on the steps.
Oh, yes, yeah. it'll-
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
all right, that's all of them. Got anything else? Okay. Take a
Then
motion
we'll
to
need to
adjourn.
open a little discussion about
Afterwards, I thought.
how we can make sure that
You,
doesn't that have to be done within the meeting?
I don't know, does it?
Sorry?
Does that need to be done, the discussion about the departments and departmental communications, does that need to be done in the meeting, or is that just discussion we can have afterwards to kind of understand what y'all currently do? No, let's just do it afterwards. I just want to understand what y'all's procedure is. All right, I'll make a motion that we adjourn then.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and second.
Good. Everybody stand up and leave.
Amen.